All right. This is NX2 coming at you, pre-recorded as always. Today we have a one-time intern, now full-time digital marketing assistant, Jen Sgroi. Did I say that right?
You
I asked you.
did.
Oh yeah,
You did.
yes, I did. I forgot to ask ahead of time. I realized I probably should have.
No, you nailed it.
It's weird. I've realized doing this that I don't think I've ever asked one person how to say their last name, and every time I start, I think to myself, I should ask for it. We're gonna
And
wing
that's
it.
one that gets butchered all the time. So I just use my first name for just about anything.
That's a one I'm gonna put on my belt. Or knock on my belt, whatever the saying is. But yeah, as I was saying, you recently came back to work with us this past month. How does that feel?
I'm excited. I really am. I was kind of hoping to get in earlier when I was doing my internship, but things happened and finally this opportunity opened up and I jumped at the chance.
I guess I think, actually finished your internship just before I came on, which means you actually just missed each other so most. It's been awesome getting to know you now, and then by that I mean both as working, but literally also right now as recording this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I ended the first week in April was my
Oh, so it
last.
was like if literally 2, 3 weeks I think before I came on. Was
Yep.
coming back to NX2 like always a possibility in your mind after you left, or was there like a happy surprise almost? Like, did you think it was possible you get a call back, or
It was a little bit of both because when you're first coming out of college, you don't really have a whole lot of experience. And I mean, I'm a little older, so I had some working experience, but nothing in the marketing field whatsoever. So I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. And then I got the call to say, you know what? Let's try this again. Put your name in. We'll get you into interview and we'll go from there. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'm happy. And the rest is history.
sure, the rest is history. Like, I personally think the best way to build a team people that can be dependent on is by hiring people you've gotten a chance to know. And like, you're like an excellent example of that. Versus me, when they didn't really know me so much, they had like a few interviews where I got some typical questions, but also kind of weird questions. I think, I don't know, for some reason, did they ask you? And by they, I keep saying they, like we're not all in the same company. But I remember Nicole asking me, "Where do you plan to be in 5 years?" Which is a common question I've only gotten once before. Did she ask you the same question?
I believe she did. And again, it's something that you're thinking about trying to figure out where you're going to go with it. And I just knew I wanted to be better than what I am now. I want to keep improving on everything I do.
I know we talked about like your experience from going from intern to digital marketing assistant. I know you've talked that on the blog too for our website. Is there anything that stuck out to you since like posting that blog post, or about the transition that you didn't get the chance to say there?
Not really. The biggest thing is just coming back here with everybody. That was the one draw that said, this is it. I really want to work here.
Oh,
Because
that's right.
everybody's,
Because yeah, I think during your internship you were all remote at that point, right?
yeah, I locked myself in a room and for quiet, and everything was done by Zoom or through Slack and messaging. And then we went from there. This is the first time I've actually been in office.
Back during before I came on, while you were an intern, they were still in the office in Dallas. Now we're like right out of Wilkes-Barre, which is nice.
Mhm.
That was nice for me because I didn't have to drive that far. But
Actually, Dallas is closer for me, but it's about the same. Actually, it doesn't take me that long to get here either.
moving away from like your time as an intern, from your time at Wilkes-Barre University, you build up like a. You say you don't have that much experience, but looking at like your experience, it's like you build up a tremendous amount. I look at your resume. You were like the Just to Do It committee chairperson. You were a
Yep.
senator with the Student Government Association and a writer for the student-run newspaper called The Revolt, which is like a really cool name for newspaper. I think about what I did in college, and I did jack all.
It took
But
me a little bit to get comfortable. Like my first year, I'm like, no, no, no. I wanted to do stuff, but I was too quiet to step out of that comfort zone. And then my English professor ended up saying, you know what, we need people for our newspaper. We need people to join. I put it off. I'm like, no, 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 I can't do it. I can't do it. So then that next semester, I'm like, you know what? I'm going for it. I want to do it. That's all I've been thinking about. I just want to write. I'm going to do it. And then each semester after that, I just started joining things.
Oh, do you think any of those like that writing experience kind of prepared you for the workday today, or is it like completely different?
I want to say it did to an extent because it just made me want to write more and want to dig into content, especially when I did my internship. I was really trying to do anything with writing that I could. So I worked on some social media posts and then, okay, then an opportunity came for a blog. Okay. And then another opportunity came. And I just went from one thing to another, just looking for any kind of opportunity I could find to write.
Okay, I kind of like had a similar experience where I really like writing in high school just for like for fun, not for any club because that would imply that I have left my dorm room. But I always wanted to like try and get more writing, and I found like internship just for the same reason. So it's kind of cool to find that there's someone else that has like a similar experience almost.
Even before that, though, I really had lost the interest. It wasn't until getting back into that writing class that I'm like, you know what? I really enjoy this, and this is kind of what I want to do.
Sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes it's just like that one little thing.
Yeah.
I had like written a little bit when I was like a kid, but I didn't start again until high school when I found out my friend was just writing a book, and then I realized, hey, if this dummy can do it, I can do it. I guess we all have that kind of thing in our lives that kind of reinvigorates us to take up our passions that we never may necessarily thought we were going to take back up again. Or was this something you always want to get back into?
It completely left my mind. I went to college previously, like right out of high school. I went for meteorology and then I switched to music ed. So it wasn't even close to anything now.
So
And
wait, music from meteorology to music ed now to marketing. That's three that's three shows. I don't think any of them like any of them are that related. Like you take notes in all of them, I guess.
yeah, but they're not even close. Not even
Yeah.
close. Meteorology. I always had an interest in weather and I always had an interest in music. I was very active in all sorts of musical things growing up, but I couldn't make up my mind. So I started off with meteorology and then I ended up switching to music ed. And I'm like, okay, this is probably not for me at the moment. And I took some time off and then ended up getting married and having my son. And then finally decided, oh, you know what? He's old enough now. It's time to do something for me.
I think they go back. Even if I think at any time in life you can always go back and realize that you want to do something else. I always like a story where the kind of theme is like, oh, it's never too late to go back and do something.
No.
And it's also never too late to just figure out, like, okay, I've been doing this one thing for years, but maybe I can go back and do something different. And I guess outside of NX2, is there anything else, like any kind of like goal you'd like to accomplish, something to cross off the bucket list, so to speak? That's like something I guess Nicole recommended that I ask people. There was like, I kind of interested because it tells me a lot about people.
Definitely travel. I like to travel and I would love to take singing lessons.
All right, that's really interesting. Travel is like a typical popular one.
Yeah.
Singing is like it's not like a skill I feel like most people either have or they don't, and they don't really pursue it. So like the idea of like, oh, taking singing lessons is like I like it because you're not just like saying, okay, I can or I can't, then I'm just gonna stop here. You're actually gonna like want to try and just learn because it's I used this is like a really this brought me back because I used to be in the choir when I was in middle school, and he used to tell us that it's the vocal cords is like an instrument and a muscle. You can always train and get better with it, even if you start out like me sounding like a dying cat, and then eventually you can practice and you can sound like a cat that's somewhat living.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. And I sang for my church choir. I sang solos. I did like chorus in high school, and then I just stopped singing after a while. I would sing for our church choir, and then I got sick a couple of years ago with bronchitis, and ever since then, my voice is shot. So that's why I want to take singing lessons because I miss it.
That's really nice. Like, want to go back and do it.
Yeah.
And then I guess to traveling, is there a place you want to go to? You can't be weirder than Erica, what she said. I won't tell you what see maybe what yours is. Maybe it's weirder.
My biggest thing is anywhere where it's warm and there's a beach. But I also want to see England,
Really?
Scotland, Ireland.
Is there
All
like
over there.
certain places, or is there like family from there?
I just kind of want to see a little bit of everything. I do have family that lived there, and there's a big castle that somehow was in my family at some point. I would like
That's
to tour through it. So it's now under they're like National Park Service. They're the ones that kind of run it. So I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I would like to just see England. I watch a lot of British shows, so I have an interest in it now. And okay, that would be fun. But my biggest thing is anywhere with the beach and warm that I can just lay out in the sun. I'm good.
I feel that. I was never a big beach person like the longest time, or like going anywhere. And after being stuck inside for like, I could go for like one of those beach things. I never really was a big idea. The idea of just going someplace that's completely foreign to where I'm at every day.
Growing up, my parents were always big into history and museums, which was fine. I never complained. I liked it. But I didn't start going to the beach until probably senior week or the year before. I'm like, okay, I love this. This is what I'm doing, and we've gone ever since.
Oh, that's nice. That's like a nice cool family tradition almost. Or is it just like
Yep.
personally you? Or is it like a
Well, I started in high school going, and then I went with my friends, and then my husband never really traveled. So once we got married, I took him down there for our first time, and then we took our son, and we ever since then the three of us have gone down. Although every now and then my friend and I'll plan a girls' weekend, and we'll go and leave everybody home.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that tells us a lot about you as a person, like why you already bring so much to the team. Of course, I am sorry to say that that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for coming, and thank you to everyone who's watching the show. All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye.